It's the best thing that ever happened to me. Every great why needs a great how.
Hi, I'm Barry Sloan with NewTek, your business solutions company. Does your business need money? Whether you need $10,000 or $10 million, you can count on NewTek, the nation's largest non-bank government-guaranteed lender. NewTek can help your business expand and grow. With a simple phone interview, we can pre-qualify you in just 48 hours. And with rates as low as 6%, you can see why so many businesses turn to NewTek. To see how easy getting a loan can be, contact NewTek, your business solutions company, today.
Sessions speaks out. From Russia to Comey, Tucker breaks down every angle of the hearing. Plus, powerful insight from Brit Hume tonight.
Hello, neighbor. Pat Boone here for the folks at TV Ears. Are you having trouble hearing your TV set? Somebody telling you it's too loud? Well, you don't need expensive hearing aids. We've got the answer. Doctor-recommended TV Ears has helped millions of people hear television dialogue clearly. TV Ears eliminates loud TV in your home and returns peace and harmony to your family and your marriage. This fantastic wireless headset elevates hard-to-hear words, making accents, even whispers, understandable. Now, your family can watch TV with you or mute the TV volume for complete quiet. Why don't you call the number on your screen? Get the original TV Ears, normally $129.95, for just $59.95, plus a free 5-year limited warranty, all for just $59.95. Call the number on your screen. Start enjoying TV again. You're going to love TV Ears.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer free for 30 days. Just call 800-650-4157.
My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean works on all CPAP machines and popular masks, destroying CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and in just minutes, voila! Sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited time offer. Call now, 800-650-4157. Or visit SoClean.com today.
Have you ever, in any of these fantastical situations, heard of a plot line so ridiculous that a sitting United States senator and an ambassador of a foreign government colluded at an open setting with hundreds of other people to pull off the greatest caper in the history of espionage?
Thank you for saying that, Senator Cotton. It's just like through the looking glass. I mean, what is this? I explained how, in good faith, I said I had not met with Russians because they were suggesting I, as a surrogate, had been meeting continuously with Russians. I said I didn't meet with them. And now the next thing you know, I'm accused of some reception, plotting some sort of influence campaign for the American election.
Through the looking glass, Attorney General Sessions, he also, in a fiery response, said clearly he had not had any conversation or never met with Russians or any foreign officials concerning any type of interference with the campaign or election of the United States. Let's bring back our panel and start there. Byron York, Chief Political Correspondent of Washington Examiner, Editor-in-Chief of LifeZette, Laura Ingram, Olivier Knox, Yahoo News Chief Washington Correspondent, and Michael Crowley, Senior Foreign Affairs Correspondent for Politico. Byron, what else stands out to you from this hearing?
Well, we're getting a little more now. I think Republicans are getting their feet under them about why Sessions didn't answer some of these questions, seeing references to a couple of memos from the Reagan administration Justice Department, one of them explaining that the Attorney General has a kind of a unique role as both the head of the Justice Department and also a legal advisor to the President of the United States. So I think that they're going to try to be making this case in the next few hours that Sessions was on solid ground, because I think they're happy with everything else Sessions did, but this is turning into a controversy, and they want to address that too.
The president tweeting out this morning a number of things. One, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, made law enforcement decisions for political purposes, gave Hillary Clinton a free pass and protection, totally illegal. The fake news media has never been so wrong or so dirty, purposely incorrect stories and phony sources to meet their agenda of hate. Sad. Fake news is at an all-time high. Where is their apology to me for all the incorrect stories? Olivier, if anybody thought he was going to step away from the Twitter machine, it's not happening.
Why would anyone think he was stepping away from the Twitter machine? It worked for him all the way through the campaign. It's his own unique personal way of communicating with the public. There was never any real serious consideration to step away. He was on a hiatus when he was overseas on his first foreign trip, but basically, of course, he was going to come back to this. Of course he was. He also tweeted about the Ninth Circuit, angrily defending what he described on Twitter as a travel ban after weeks of administration officials saying it's not a ban. He's not. Why would he change this?
But in the middle of the country, as people, we are obsessed, obviously, Laura, on this investigation. There could be, we don't know what we don't know, obviously, and we are covering it nonstop. But traveling around the country, there is a different perspective, it seems.
Yeah, well, I talk to millions of people every week on the radio from all over, all 50 states. And a lot of them are conservative, but not all of them. There are a lot of people who are just not all that political at all. We do a lot of different topics, culture, and so forth. And there is this Acela Corridor obsession with Russia. A lot of it coming from people who, when, frankly, conservatives really needed their help in the 80s and when we were in college, or when Reagan was trying to be tough against the Soviet Union, they were the first ones to defend the Soviets. And now there are a lot of Russophobes suddenly in the media. Not to say that Vladimir Putin isn't a horrid person. I think he is. But I think a lot of people are just kind of scratching their heads going, wait a second, look at watching this Jeff Sessions guy. Some guy's like meeting with a Russian ambassador trying to figure out a way to rig the election. No one really believes that. I don't think the Democrats believe that. This is in the views of I think millions of Americans, a bitter, really ticked off media who are livid that they blew the entire election season. They blew it. They missed what was happening in the country. They're angry about it, and they want to be vindicated. They want Trump out of office. That is a dominant theme throughout many people in the media, some Republicans, I actually think, and a lot of Democrats. They want him out at all costs, and sometimes Trump has helped them by, I think, tweeting things he shouldn't have tweeted and probably getting a little upset about what he thinks is unfair.
Michael.
Well, I mean, it has been rough sledding for Trump, and he is in the Gallup poll somewhere around 35-36%, which is not great. But George W. Bush went all the way down into the mid-20s after Katrina and during the Iraq War. And among Republicans, Trump's support is still pretty solid. So I think, Laura's saying some things that are resonating, at least with the Republican base. And for Trump's own political survival for now, I mean, I think a lot of Democrats have this notion that impeachment might be around the corner. It's not going to happen. These Republican House members in particular, solid red districts, I think feel like people are still behind Trump strongly. I just want to add one thing, because in the earlier segment you asked, did we hear anything more about collusion with the Russians, any new factual information about this? We didn't, but Bloomberg reported today new information that says the Russians are found to have been interfering with state election systems in 39 different states.
Attempting to hack.
Now, it's not to say they changed votes. There's not evidence that the outcome of the election was affected.
Comey testified they didn't, but go ahead.
That's right. But I just think it's important that people understand we are still learning more about what happened, and forget about partisanship for a minute, forget about collusion. The Russians are trying to get into our systems. They're not done. They're going to keep trying, and people can't lose sight of that. So the Chinese, I don't think we have evidence that they're trying to affect our voting systems in the same way. But you're right, they are hacking us left and right.
Let me ask you this. When does the onus shift? When does the tide turn to say to Democrats running some of, as the ranking members, that either you come forward with something, or we need to move on as a country? Is there a moment, or is this just going to be continual?
Well, look, I mean, it's politics, it's Congress, it's going to be continual. I think that's what the role Mueller would serve in a kind of ideal system. You would have him do his thing. You would have Congress have hearings in a responsible way. You shouldn't be having these nonstop leaks. But Mueller is the answer to that question. But the political reality is, come on, Democrats are going to have a field day, and I think Republicans would if the shoe's on the other foot.
Yeah, and Republicans are running it. Let's turn to the president and the minority leader in the Senate today.
The Senate is working very, very hard to come out with a bill that's going to be a phenomenal bill for the people of our country. Generous, kind, with heart. That's what I'm saying. And that may be adding additional money into it. We're going to come out with a real bill, not Obamacare. And the results are going to be fantastic.
There are only 11 calendar days of Senate business left before the July 4th recess. And yet Republicans are looking to vote on a final health care bill before the deadline. And not a soul outside the Republican caucus has seen the bill.
All right, so where are we on the health care bill? I mean, we're just getting the Associated Press saying that President Trump told Republican senators behind closed doors that the House bill is, quote, mean, and that the Senate bill needs some more, work. We don't even know what the Senate bill looks like. We're going to have Senator Thune here momentarily. He was at that lunch today.
No, we don't. I mean, I think Schumer is just right about it. These are just the facts. I mean, you have to kind of finish one by the July 4th recess, then when they come back in July, put something together with the House and the Senate, and then maybe get that passed before the August recess, or if not, you're going into September. And remember that spending bill that was going to keep the government going till September 30th? You got to figure something out about that. I think they're in dire shape right now. They just don't have a lot of time.
Laura, I mean, we did have that big Rose Garden ceremony for the House bill that now is mean.
Yeah, well, I think Trump's sounding the populist note there, right? I mean, people are looking for the conservative angle. He's sounding more like the populist. Like, we want something passed. You get the sense that behind closed doors, Trump saying to McConnell, how many votes do you have, and what can you pass with the votes that you have? You have to start delivering some results for us. I mean, I don't know how many votes they have for whatever legislation they can come up with, but these guys have been called the experts and professionals in budgeting and in spending priorities, and they've been thinking about health care for 8 years. They've got to pass something with the votes that they have. They can't concoct votes that they don't have, but they've got to pass something. I have a feeling that's what Trump is saying.
Quickly.
They got a nice Veterans Administration reform bill through today, so it's going to the president's desk. It would change the way that the VA can fire people who are not performing. That's going to be probably maybe the most considerable legislative victory that this president has notched since taking office.
Still, I mean, this is like a kid who gets the biggest ice cream cone he ever wanted. It's his dream come true, and it's melting in his hands before he can eat it. Huge missed opportunity for Republicans having the Congress and the presidency. By this point in 2001, George W. Bush had already, I believe, signed into law something like a $1.3 trillion tax cut, one of his crowning domestic achievements. Nothing even close to that to show. It's just a big missed opportunity right now for Republicans.
They get it done before July 4th?
I don't think so.
There's a lot of shaking heads.
Difficult.
That concludes our first hour. Thank you, panel. For 2 hours of special report, we'll be back with the latest from the Sessions hearing, plus all the latest news after this.
When you woke up this morning, you saw the sun, got your clubs, and, well, some things you just can't control. Like runaway inflation or unstable governments printing money as worthless as wet scorecards. But you can control whether or not you let the money in your retirement lose its value. Hi, I'm William Devane, and it's time you took cover by transferring your existing IRAs to a Roslyn Capital Gold and Silver backed IRA. That means an IRA backed by gold and silver, not by paper and promises. So control the things you can control. Talk to Roslyn today and protect your retirement with a Roslyn Capital Gold and Silver backed IRA.
Call now and get a free gold kit, including coins only available from Roslyn Capital, a free silver kit, and a free IRA kit. Call 800-630-8900, 800-630-8900, 800-630-8900.
Truth is, our skin weakens with age, but it doesn't have to show.
Gold Bond Strength and Resilience. With plumping moisturizers and skin strengthening proteins, 84% saw improvement in skin texture in 5 days. Gold Bond Strength and Resilience.
Golden Corral now opens for 7-day brunch, French toast, omelets, a mashed potato volcano? Nice. We have over 150 choices, but the only one that matters is yours. Golden Corral, your choice rules.
Hello. Let's go for a ride on a Peloton. Let's go grab a couple thousand friends and chase each other up a hill. Let's go make a personal best, then beat it with your personal better than best. Let's go bring the world's best instructors right to you. Better yet, let's go bring the entire New York studio live. Let's go anytime, anywhere, with anyone who's willing. And let's go do it all right here. Ready to go? Peloton.
Let's see why people everywhere are upgrading their water filter to zero water. Start with water that has a lot of dissolved solids. Pour it through Brita's two-stage filter. Dissolved solids remain? What if we filter it over and over? Oh dear. Thank goodness Zero Water's 5-stage filter gets to all zeros the first time. So maybe it's time to upgrade. Get more out of your water. Get Zero Water.
That's right, keep rocking. SiriusXM's free listening event might be over, but you can turn us back on with packages starting for a limited time at just $5.99 a month plus fees. Just visit SiriusXM.com/GetSXM to keep hearing all the things that make you love taking the long way home. So visit SiriusXM.com/GetSXM or call 1-844-479-6669 to turn us back on and up.
It's okay that everybody ignores me when I drive. It's fine, because I get a safe driving bonus check every 6 months I'm accident-free. Because I don't use my cell phone when I'm driving, even though my family does and leaves me all alone. Here's something else. I don't share it with Mom. I don't. Right, Mom? I have a brand new putter you don't even know about. It's awesome.
Safe driving bonus checks only from Allstate.
Sometimes I leave the seat up on purpose.
Switching to Allstate is worth it.
The president's attorney general vigorously denies conspiring with the Russians to fix last fall's election, calling that a detestable lie. This is Special Report. Good evening, welcome to Washington. I'm Brett Baer. This is hour 2 of our special 2-hour breaking news edition of Special Report. Attorney General Jeff Sessions says he had nothing to do with any Russian interference in the election that his boss won last November. Sessions testified today to the Senate Intelligence Committee, which is investigating, of course, alleged ties between the Donald Trump campaign and the Russians. We have Fox team coverage tonight. John Roberts is at the White House with the administration's view of the proceedings. We start off, though, this hour with Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge, who's been on Capitol Hill in the briefing room all day. Good evening, Catherine.
Well, thank you, Brett. Throughout the powerful testimony, the Attorney General tried to set the record straight.
The suggestion that I participated in any collusion, that I was aware of any collusion with the Russian government, is an appalling and detestable lie.
Testifying before the Senate Intelligence Committee, the Attorney General Jeff Sessions defended himself and the Trump administration over allegations they colluded with Russia. On his March decision to recuse himself from the ongoing probe, Sessions said it was not about Russia but his position on the campaign and regulations that forbid his involvement, a claim challenged by a senior Democrat.
Mr. Comey said that there were matters with respect to the recusal that were problematic and he couldn't talk about them. What are they?
Why don't you tell me? There are none, Senator Wyden. There are none. I can tell you that for absolute certainty. You tell, this is a secret innuendo being leaked out there about me, and I don't appreciate it.
Sessions insisted he never misled Congress over his contacts with the Russian ambassador Sergei Kislyak.
My answer was a fair and correct response to the charge as I understood it.
Sessions said he met with the Russian ambassador in July and September, but not in April of last year at Washington's Mayflower Hotel, as widely reported.
You never remember having a conversation or a meeting with Ambassador Kislyak?
I do not.
And there was, in that event, was there ever a private room setting that you were involved in?
No.
With any?
Other than the reception area that was shut off from, I guess, the main crowd, a couple of dozen, 2 to 3 dozen people.
This one didn't pop into your memory?
Well, I guess I could say that I possibly had a meeting, but I still do not recall it. And I did not in any way fail to record something in my testimony or in my subsequent letter intentionally false.
Sessions appeared before the same Senate panel where the fired FBI Director James Comey described a mid-February meeting alleging he was pressured by the president to end the investigation into former National Security Advisor Mike Flynn. The president disputes Comey's account.
General Flynn at that point in time was in legal jeopardy. I don't think it's for me to say whether the conversation I had with the president was an effort to obstruct I took it as a very disturbing thing, very concerning.
Sessions said Comey never shared that conversation, but urged Sessions not to leave him alone, again with the president.
You never asked Director Comey what took place in that meeting?
What I do recall is that I did depart. I believe everyone else did depart, and Director Comey was sitting in front of the president's desk, and they were talking.
It did appear that Mr. Comey felt that the conversation was improper.
He was concerned about it, and his recollection of what he said to me about his concern, is consistent with my recollection.
Also today, Fox News confirming that a Columbia Law School professor who acted as an intermediary between James Comey and a New York Times reporter sharing information from memos that documented Comey's conversations with the president. That law school professor is providing what's described to us as relevant material to the special counsel Robert Mueller. Brett.
Catherine, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's find out what the president is doing right now and the reaction to today's testimony. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts has that part of the story tonight. Good evening, John.
Brett, good evening to you. The president is trying hard to stick with the agenda, talking health care with senators in a lunch in the cabinet room earlier today. Now in the Midwest, pushing his workforce development agenda, but all the time keeping one eye on the goings-on on Capitol Hill. White House sources tell Fox News they were happy about the Attorney General's testimony today, saying, quote, he has been impressive and has forcefully been pushing back against insinuations of wrongdoing, in particular, going hard against Senators Wyden and Heinrich. For his part, President Trump seemed wholly unconcerned with events unfolding on Capitol Hill today, meeting in Wisconsin with more what he describes as victims of Obamacare, then focusing his attention on the millions of jobs left open because workers lack the skills to fill them. Before he left the White House, though, the president made known what he thinks is the important issue in all of this, tweeting, quote, Attorney General Lynch made law enforcement decisions for political purposes, gave Hillary Clinton a free pass and protection. Totally illegal. The president was also taking fire today for a statement made by a friend of his, Newsmax CEO Chris Ruddy, who suggested President Trump was considering the removal of special counsel Robert Mueller.
I think he's considering perhaps terminating the special counsel.
The statement prompted front-page headlines and outrage from Democrats.
I don't think that Congress would sit still and allow the president to pick his own investigator. Mueller is widely respected by people on both sides of the aisle, and we've heard a lot of members speak out about him since he was selected that he was the perfect choice.
Testifying before the Senate Judiciary Committee today, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, who appointed Mueller, said any demand to fire him would have to pass a high bar.
Senator, I'm not going to follow any orders unless I believe those are lawful and appropriate orders. Under the regulation, Special Counsel Mueller may be fired only for good cause. If there were not good cause, it wouldn't matter to me what anybody says.
The Speaker of the House also weighed in.
All I've heard so much are rumors, but I think in the best case for the president is to be vindicated by allowing this investigation to go on thoroughly and independently.
But the president's legal team is throwing cold water on the claim, telling Fox News Ruddy got his information by watching a member of the team, Jay Sekulow, on ABC's This Week, and misinterpreted what he said.
I can't imagine that issue is going to arise, but that again is an issue that the president with his advisors would discuss if there was a basis.
Today, Ruddy sought to clarify his comments.
I did not talk to the president about the issue. I do not believe he will fire him. I think if they did fire, it would be a mistake. I do believe he has the legal right to do it. I do believe it was considered as an option.
Sources tell Fox News President Trump was upset about the firestorm Ruddy ignited and dispatched his communications team to get the clarification. And the president took aim at the press for not checking its facts, tweeting, quote, fake news is at an all-time high. Where is their apology to me for all of the incorrect stories? With the Sessions hearing now complete, the White House is hoping to get the president's agenda above the tree line. In addition to health care, he's also got a big Cuba policy announcement coming up later on this week. And on health care, some breaking news from Capitol Hill. The president held that luncheon today, Brett. The Associated Press is reporting that to senators, the president referred to the House version of the American Health Care Act as, quote, mean, that the Senate could do better. We haven't been able to confirm the mean part, but one source on Capitol Hill did tell Fox News that the president thought that the Senate could be, quote, more generous in its version of the health care bill. Brett?
John Roberts live on the North Lawn. John, thank you. Let's get a reaction to what we saw today and that meeting at the White House. Talk about what's ahead in the Senate as well. South Dakota's John Thune is Republican Conference Chairman in the Senate. Senator, thanks. Well, let's start with where John left off.
Okay.
Was the president, did he say mean about the House bill?
Well, what I would characterize him as saying is that he thinks that the Senate can improve upon the House bill, and that he likes the fact that the Senate is writing their own version. And what I think he conveyed to us was a sense of urgency, the need to get this done, and I think he has his ideas about what it might look like, but I think right now he's kind of deferring to us, and frankly that's a good thing. We're doing our best to come up with a good bill.
But on the specifics, the quote, mean.
Well, I'm not going to confirm anything that the president did or didn't say with respect to either the House bill or the Senate process. But what I will say is he does believe, and I think we can improve upon the House product. They built a good foundation, and I think we can make that stronger and better, and get a bill that is more workable for the American people and more affordable.
Well, can we talk about the specifics? I mean, are you going to make it more generous, more kind, as quoted here?
Well, I think what we think is important, one, that we provide stability to the markets, which are collapsing. I mean, there are more and more counties, and the reports are out now that this next year 45% of the counties in the country will have 1 or 0 options in the individual marketplace. So stabilize the marketplace. Secondly, address skyrocketing premiums. My state of South Dakota, for example, since 2013 has seen a 124% increase, doubled in the amount of premiums that are being paid. Third, protect people with pre-existing conditions. And fourth, make Medicaid sustainable for the future by giving states more flexibility, and at the same time protect people that need it, to not pull the rug out from under them. Those are the objectives in this, and I think we can achieve that in the Senate bill.
So before the 4th of July, do you think there's going to be something that moves forward?
I think that that's still the plan, and obviously, we're doing our best right now to take all these great ideas, and our entire Republican Senate has been operating as a committee of the whole, basically meeting together several times a week and trying to distill the issues, the decision points, narrow the differences that we have. I think we can get there, but if we don't get it before the 4th of July, for sure in the month of July, and we need to get this done. We need to get this behind us, but do it in a way, the right way, that addresses the concerns the American people have right now about a failed system. We want to rescue them from that.
Here's the Senate Minority Leader on this process.
Make no mistake, there will be a reckoning if this bill is passed. Passing a bill of this scale, with so many consequences for the American people, without telling them what's in it, without telling them how they would fare, the political retribution will be swift. It will be a catastrophe for the Republican Party.
It is fairly rich, Senator. I mean, you had Nancy Pelosi saying you had to pass Obamacare before you knew what was in it in that one speech. But now it seems that senators are being put to the test the same way. I mean, we haven't seen any language yet, and I don't think a lot of senators have seen a lot of language. Is that true?
Right. No, and that's true. I mean, right now staff is drafting it, but what we have done is we have agreed in principle on kind of what the issues are, and now we're reducing that to legislative language, trying to work with the Congressional Budget Office, figure out what the impacts are going to be, how the CBO is going to score this. But in the end, we know we have to get this across the finish line. But it's not like there haven't been hearings on this. There have been multiple hearings over the years, and we've been studying these issues for 8 years and talking about these issues. This issue's probably been more litigated publicly than anything in this city for the last 8 years. So we know what the issues are. So what Senator Schumer is saying is just completely inaccurate. People are well aware of what we need to fix, and we're trying to systematically come up with a plan that's more workable and better for the American people.
Is there a sense that if you don't get the cats herded here around health care, that you vote on it and you abandon it and you come back to it later and move on to tax reform? I mean, is that the plan?
Well, I think that, one, we're going to have a vote, and two...
One way or another?
One way or the other. And two, we need to get 50 votes. I mean, and plus the vice president and the chair in order to get this thing done. Because if we don't, I think it makes it much more difficult to do tax reform and the other things that are on our agenda.
Because the $900 billion plus that comes out of health care.
And we need to save it. I mean, this thing is collapsing, Brett. That's why there's a sense of urgency for the American people about getting this right. These insurance markets are collapsing by the day. And secondly, I think there's a huge political price to be paid if we don't. We made a commitment to the American people. We need to honor it. And the Senate's got to do its part of the job now, and then we'll have to reconcile our differences with the House and eventually get a bill on the President's desk that he can sign into law that will be hopefully a vast improvement over the government-run system that we have today.
So you're not one of the senators who says, you know, listen, it's the Democrats' deal, let the thing collapse, and then work with them to fix it. You're saying it's the Republicans' ownership since you control the House, the Senate, and the White House.
Well, the Democrats created the mess. I mean, we have to fix their mess. This is you know, they started and created this system of you know, government-run health care, which has been a failure for the American people. But our responsibility now is to try and fix that mess. And so I don't think we let it collapse. I think that we need to step in and do the right thing for the American people, and that is give them more choices, more options, more competition, a health care system, and insurance coverage that actually works for them and that they choose, as opposed to having the government dictate from here in Washington, D.C. what that should be.
Level of confidence that there's a vote before July 4th break?
I would say that's probably, if I were making odds, it's 50-50. But, you know,
level of confidence that you're going to pass something to go to conference committee.
And that if it's not before the 4th of July, after the 4th of July, I'm confident. The odds are better than even, in my view, because I think we have to. And I think if we don't, we'll have let down the American people. This is what they elected us to do.
I know you didn't see all the Attorney General Sessions hearing, but you kind of read up on it and were briefed on it. Your sense of this investigation, where it's heading, and what we're learning?
Well, first off, I think the thing that came out of the hearing today, and basically Attorney General Sessions said this, is there haven't been any conversations that suggest there's any evidence anywhere that there was collusion with the Russians by the Trump campaign. That's been reiterated. It's, you know, Director Comey said that, and there's been an FBI investigation underway for 11 months, a congressional investigation underway for 6 months now. There isn't any scintilla of evidence yet that happened. At some point, I think we have to say, okay, enough already. It's time to move on. And I'm one who believes that the special counsel ought to be able to do their thing and investigate this, but there ought to be at least some amount of time in which they conduct that and make sure that they stay in their lanes, and that this gets done in a way that you know, brings us to a conclusion one way or the other. But let's don't drag this thing out forever, because I will tell you, when you get outside this city, where I know we're very obsessed with this, people across the country, they want us to focus on the agenda that's important to them. That's jobs in the economy, fixing health care, creating a tax code that makes us more competitive in the global marketplace, doing something on infrastructure, making sure the country's safe. I mean, those are the things that the American people are talking about right now.
And you're convinced that the Trump agenda can get back on track?
I am, and I think that, you know, frankly, I think the president being out there, he's in Wisconsin today, arguing for why we need to do these things is important, and we're going to continue to work here in the Senate on these issues, knowing that there are these things, sometimes distractions that are created out there, but we have to multitask. We have some big things to get done on the agenda, and I think high expectations by the American people that we want to meet.
Senator, we appreciate the time.
Thanks, Brett. Nice to be with you.
A story that could lead the news any other day. An American held prisoner in North Korea since January of last year is on his way home tonight, but he's hardly free. The release comes as basketball player turned reality TV star turned unofficial diplomat Dennis Rodman makes his 5th trip to the communist nation. Correspondent Benjamin Hall has the latest on that tonight.
Otto Warmbier, the 22-year-old UVA student held in North Korean jail, was released this morning, and North Korea acknowledged he's in a coma. President Trump has been regularly updated on Warmbier's ordeal since coming to office, but the North Korean regime kept his condition a secret, and the US only found out last week after North Korea granted Swedish emissaries visitation rights. The US immediately demanded his release and sent a rare delegation to Pyongyang to get him. He's now on a medical plane back to Ohio. In March 2016, Warmbier was accused of trying to steal a poster from his hotel and sentenced to 15 years hard labor after giving a teary confession, which many believe was under duress. Ever since then, his parents have worked hard for his return.
Otto, we love you. You're an amazing guy. Hang in there, Tiger Boy. You're coming home.
At his trial, he was visibly shaky, and we now know he fell critically ill shortly afterwards, apparently coming down with a case of botulism. Unbeknownst to his family, he's been in a coma ever since. Today, Secretary Tillerson shared few details.
The President's direction, the Department of State has secured the release of Otto Warmbier from North Korea. He is on his way en route home to be reunited with his family.
This news comes on a day that Dennis Rodman, the controversial NBA star, flew to Pyongyang, a rare, high-profile visit to the country by a man who calls dictator Kim Jong-un a friend for life. Mobbed by journalists en route, he said that he was going to open doors, and that President Trump was probably pleased.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's pretty much happy at the fact that I'm over here trying to accomplish something that we both need.
North Korea continues to provoke the US, testing numerous missiles in rapid succession amid threats of nuclear attacks. The administration yesterday called the regime the most urgent and dangerous threat to peace. And Warmbier is due to fly into Cincinnati tonight, Tuesday evening, but he is in urgent need of medical care. And, of course, there are still 3 Americans being held in North Korea, and the State Department says it's talking to the regime there about them as well. Brett?
Benjamin Hall live in London. Benjamin, thank you. Up next, some confusion about new proposed regulations on where cameras and reporters can go on Capitol Hill. First, here's what some of our Fox affiliates around the country are covering tonight. Fox 5 in Atlanta, authorities search for 2 inmates who killed 2 Georgia prison guards during their escape this morning. Investigators say the men disarmed the guards, then shot them to death in Putnam County. Both men are serving long sentences for armed robbery and other crimes. Fox 25 in Oklahoma City, where the manhunt continues for a second day for 4 men who escaped from jail early Monday morning. 3 of those men were serving time for property crimes. The 4th was convicted of murder. And this is a live look at Boston from Fox 25, our affiliate there. The big story there tonight, the defense rests in its case in the trial of a Massachusetts woman accused of manslaughter for sending her boyfriend dozens of text messages urging him to kill himself. Michelle Carter is accused in the 2014 suicide of her 18-year-old boyfriend, Conrad Roy III. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report. We'll be right back.
Your brain is an amazing thing, but as you get older, it naturally begins to change, causing a lack of sharpness or even trouble with recall. Thankfully, the breakthrough in Prevagen helps your brain and actually improves memory. The secret is an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, the name to remember.
Mahindra is reducing prices like never before on the toughest tractors on earth during Mahindra's inventory clearance sale. Get up to $9,200 in cash back and savings, plus an additional $2,000 off select units while they last. All with our 7-year limited powertrain warranty. Only on the world's #1 selling tractor, Mahindra. Save big and get your work done, America.
Having my mom around to help with my daughter means the world to me, so I got her a smartphone. Amanda, I'm out front, honey. It's the all-new Jitterbug Smart from Great Call. It's got one of the biggest, brightest screens, and with the built-in 5-star app, I know she can always get help.
One touch and you'll be immediately connected to a highly trained agent who can confirm your location, assess the situation, and get you the help you need.
And right now, get 25% off at Best Buy, Rite Aid, or Sears.
When you schedule with Safe by Auto Glass, you get a text when we're on our way. You can see exactly when we'll arrive. I'm Micah with Safe Flight.
Thanks for coming. It's right over here.
Giving you a few more minutes for what matters most. Take care.
Safe Flight Repair, Safe Flight Replace.
When you connect better, everything comes together. Try it free at GoToMeeting.com.
Jeff Sessions, the full story. The attacks, his answers. Where do we go from here? Sean gets real about what's next for the administration. Then, Tucker's live with expert insight tonight.
Yeah, at first I thought it was just the stress of moving. Hey, I was using that.
Think we own stock in the electric company? I will turn this car around right now.
There's nobody back there.
I was becoming my father.
It's been an adjustment, but we're making it work. You know, Progressive.com makes it easy for us to get the right home insurance.
Progressive can't protect you from becoming your parents, but we can protect your home and auto.
You do everything to protect your home, but today, you're more likely to get hacked than robbed. Your home is full of devices sending your data to the internet. Hackers can invade your privacy, steal your data and finances without you even knowing it. Cujo is a smart firewall that secures all devices connected to your Wi-Fi router. When Cujo detects a threat, it blocks it and notifies you immediately, ensuring what matters most is protected. Stay safe online. Get Cujo at these wonderful retailers.
Food poisoning has killed at least 2 people and sickened more than 700 at a camp for displaced residents of Mosul, Iraq. An Iraqi lawmaker is accusing a charity from Qatar of providing that tainted food. The Doha-based organization is not commenting. Qatar, of course, is being isolated by several regional neighbors for alleged support of terrorism and extremism. Erbil's police chief in Iraq says 7 people have been arrested in connection with this. Back here in the U.S., there was mass confusion today at the Capitol concerning the rules for media members in dealing with the U.S. Senate. Fox News senior Capitol Hill producer Chad Pergram is here tonight up on the Hill to talk about this. Good evening, Chad.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. This all started, Brett, at a hearing and a stakeout outside the Dirksen Senate office building for Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General who was testifying about appropriations. And what happened is you had somebody come out from the radio TV gallery and say, no, you can't be in the hallway anymore. We're changing the rules. Now, there is a rule book that we have here on Capitol Hill which dictates what the rules of coverage are. And technically, there's a rule that if you're going to try to interview a senator or you're going to try to stake out in the hallway, there has to be approval, first of all, from the radio TV gallery, or second of all, you have to get the approval from the Rules Committee, which deals with the rules of the Capitol and the Senate specifically, but also permission of that senator. Now, Richard Shelby, who is the chairman of the Rules Committee, put out a statement this afternoon and said, at no point have we tried to change the rules here. We're not trying to interfere with press coverage. Now, earlier today, or I should say last night, I tried to do an interview with a couple of senators about health care. Rand Paul of Kentucky and Bill Cassidy of Louisiana. They're very involved in this issue, and I stood outside by the Senate steps, and technically I'm told that I was in violation because I didn't get the approval. But now we're told later on that things are going to be getting back to normal. Still, the Radio TV Correspondents Association, the RTCA, which is the group which represents reporters on Capitol Hill and the electronic media, they put out a statement that say that we are condemning this in the strongest possible terms. I'm told at the end of the day here, Brett, that this was really just a miscommunication. Senator Shelby is saying things are back to normal, but they are still reviewing the rules for press coverage. And part of this has been brought on by just the crush of reporters descending on Capitol Hill to cover senators at this very hectic news time.
Okay, Chad, we expect to see those walking down the hall interviews to continue. Chad, I appreciate it. Well, President Trump's crusade to ease federal regulations is taking aim tonight at a consumer finance watchdog created in the wake of the 2008 economic crisis. Correspondent Kristen Fisher tells us why the president is going after this particular agency.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, created by President Obama in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, is under fire from the Treasury Department. A new report accuses the Bureau, or CFPB, of regulatory abuses and excesses. It claims the Bureau has hindered consumer choice and access to credit, limited innovation, and imposed undue compliance burdens, particularly on small institutions. Now, the CFPB says we are reviewing the report. No comment beyond that at this time. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin is also taking issue with the Bureau's director, one of the few regulators that doesn't answer to a board and can't be removed by the president.
We think it's improper. We think it's also improper that this is funded out of the Fed. This agency should be subject to proper review and not subject to one person acting on their own.
When President Obama announced the Bureau's formation back in 2010, it was a blow to big banks and Wall Street.
From now on, consumers will also have a powerful
powerful watchdog.
Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren, who oversaw the formation of the Bureau, is describing these new recommendations as radical changes, ones that could potentially spark another financial meltdown. Quote, "It comes as no surprise that Donald Trump and Steven Mnuchin, two men who were deeply involved in companies that cheated thousands of customers, would want to gut the agency that's held cheaters accountable and returned more than $12 billion to consumers." The Treasury report comes just days after House Republicans passed a bill rolling back many of the Dodd-Frank regulations that were also enacted after the 2008 crisis. It all adds up to a concerted effort by congressional Republicans and the Trump administration to deregulate the financial sector. Mr. Trump saw it as such a high priority that he ordered this latest Treasury report in one of his first acts as president.
Today we're assigning core principles for regulating the United States financial system. Doesn't get much bigger than that, right?
Now, that executive order also instructed Treasury to review 3 other sectors. So this was just the first of 4 reports. Many more changes could be in the pipeline. And according to Secretary Mnuchin, many of the changes proposed yesterday can be implemented through executive action alone. Brett?
Kristen, thank you. Secretary Mnuchin also says a government shutdown might not be such a bad thing. Mnuchin told the Senate Budget Committee today, quote, "At times, there could be a good shutdown." That echoes a tweet from President Trump last month after Democrats blocked funding for the president's border wall. Mnuchin says critical functions of government would never be shut down. Verizon is taking over Yahoo. Verizon has completed its $4.5 billion deal. It ends Yahoo's 21-year history as a publicly traded company. Yahoo's email and other digital services will combine with those of AOL in a Verizon subsidiary called Oath. The Dow was up 93 today. The S&P 500 gained 11. The Nasdaq finished ahead 45. 2 Virginia Democrats vying to be the face of the resistance to President Trump are squaring off in today's gubernatorial primary. Former Congressman Tom Perriello is running as a liberal crusader who has the support of national Democrats such as Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. He's on the left of your screen there. Lieutenant Governor Ralph Northam is also vowing to fight the president, but says he will work with state Republicans to move a progressive and realistic agenda forward. We'll have those results later, as well as on the Republican side, frontrunner Ed Gillespie is trying to fend off underfunded but spirited campaigns from avid Trump supporter Corey Stewart and State Senator Frank Wagner. With all of the focus on Capitol Hill about changing health insurance and getting quality health care around the country, one particular group is often left out of specific discussions: children. Dr. Kurt Newman is the president and CEO of Children's National Health System here in Washington. He's also the author of a new book that can help families facing hospitalizations. As many of you know, our family knows those anxieties well. I spoke to Dr. Newman earlier today. Dr. Newman, thanks for being here.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
This book is great. Healing Children, A Surgeon's Stories from the Frontiers of Pediatric Medicine. Why did you write this book?
I wrote this book because I've been a surgeon for over 30 years, and I wanted parents, and it's really for parents, but people in general to know what I've learned over that 32 years, the special value and priceless value of pediatric medicine, children's hospitals, to help parents advocate for their children and to help our country understand the special value of pediatric medicine.
So full disclosure here, obviously we're friends. Paul, our son, has had multiple surgeries at Children's National, and you are the president and CEO of that hospital. Also, this book is very personal, but they're one of Paul's surgeons. There are personal stories in here that help negotiate, help parents really find their way through if they have a sick child or they're just interested in children's hospitals.
That's right. And one of the goals is to help parents understand before they're in those situations so that they know where the emergency department is. They know